In front of me, I have the Samsung Galaxy A13, which is really close to, or well, it's not really close, it is basically the definition of budget device. And today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this phone. So anyway, let's just pop it straight open. There we go. I just cut the wrong side. Yep, it looks like I did. There we go. So, under here you'll obviously find the phone, and it looks like a cable is here. Yep, there we go, there's our cable, along with some paperwork. So there we go. I don't really care about anything else. Now what I will mention here, because this is just absolutely stupid, this is a budget device, and yet they give you a Type-C to Type-C cable, without even the charger. What are the chances that person who buys a budget phone has a Type-C charger already? Probably fairly slim. So why would you include a cable that is kind of useless? So that's one thing. Now additionally, sometimes Samsungs are a little bit picky on what kind of cable you use with them, so that adds the extra step of you needing to have a really cable that actually cooperates with your device. As an example, I have one right here, like this one. This is a Type-A to Type-C, which you would most likely use for this phone, right? Because you have a charger that can utilize it. But when you're trying to connect the phone to your computer, and assuming you don't have a Type-C port in your computer, which is probably half of the people, if you haven't built a computer or bought one in like relatively recent timing, you most likely don't have a Type-C port in your PC. So you need to use cables like this. But as an example, this one, I can tell you right now, will not work with Samsung because of this purple coating. It's from Huawei. And it works with Huawei with their like super fast charging stuff, but it absolutely will not connect to your computer with this cable because for some reason Samsung doesn't want to cooperate with this cable at all. So you're kind of stuck with this cable that won't work. So anyway, let's just get past this and take this off. Go. And we got a phone that kind of looks like it's straight out of 2010, at least on the back. It honestly reminds me, looking at the back, if I would just remove the Samsung and the cameras, it feels like one of those iPhones, I think it was iPhone 5, what was it, not S, it was the 5E or something like that. The one that had a plastic back instead of the aluminum one. They looked really like almost identical to this, with the back basically like wrapping around, being a solid piece, and like all kinds of different colors, including something I believe close to this color. So it really screams, at least looking at the back, kind of like an iPhone clone to me, just way bigger and newer. Now, once the device boots up, you are immediately presented with the display right here, a 6.6 inch display, and a stupidity of Samsung setups, which I absolutely despise. So, let's see. Here we go, here's the first stupidity. Can't skip Wi-Fi. No. Because reasons! We don't give any. So once you log into your Wi-Fi, because it's not like you have a choice, you will do it if you want to utilize your phone. If you're somewhere where you don't have access to Wi-Fi, too effing bad, you're not using your phone today apparently. And then once you do so, it goes to this page, which is Service Provider Setup. What service provider? There is no SIM card. And just to kind of like prove this, let me just grab wherever I have tossed this. Where do I have my little SIM ejector? Oh, there we go. Found it. It's right here. Now for some reason, oh, there we go. It just finished. But before I actually am forced to restart, I'm just gonna prove there is no SIM card. What setup of a service provider do I need to do here? You are literally forced to restart your phone for this stupid effing reason, which is moronic. but there is no card in here. It boggles my mind how Samsung is apparently one of the like top dogs in the phone market when they do trash like this. I need to waste my time, which, mind you, you don't need to do with any other phone. Just to also put that in perspective, Sony was one of those people that would reboot the device once you take out a SIM card or just a tray. They don't do that anymore. They learned their lesson apparently. But Samsung now decided, we need to pick up the slack. Here we go, force restart. Amazing. So anyway, now that the device is rebooting for no effing reason, we can proceed further with the display. So this, like I mentioned, is a 6.6 inch display. It's a 1080p by 2408 pixels. 08 there, very needed. It's a 83.2% screen to body ratio with 400 pixels per inch. And the specs that I just said are decent, though it being a LCD, just a typical LCD display, is a little bit on the more not the decent side. So just to kind of explain this, in direct sunlight this display will be most likely really hard to see, considering right now we're in a, I wouldn't even say well-lit environment, and this is the default brightness, which is a little bit, I think like a little bit above halfway as Samsung normally sets it up. So max brightness will be not much brighter than this, and it's already looking quite dim. So you can only imagine how it will feel in a direct sunlight during summer. Now moving on to the next part, which is just the cameras. We have a bunch of cameras at the back, as you can see, 4 of them to be more precise. And to be completely honest, we only have 2 cameras that we can utilize, because we have the 50 megapixel wide sensor, and then we have a absolute trash 5 megapixel ultra wide. So those are the ones that you can utilize. The ones that I would recommend you to never touch, just because they will make the photos come out worse than they should, are the 2 megapixel macro and 2 megapixel depth. Now, the worst insult here is the macro camera at 2 megapixels when you have a 50 megapixel wide sensor. The reason for that is you can do a 2x zoom, which will zoom in into your shot really nicely, keeping a lot of the detail, which will come out significantly higher quality and resolution than a 2 megapixel macro, making that macro completely useless. Absolutely no reason for it to be there. But hey, guess what? You just paid for it, because it comes with the device, and you don't have a choice to not have those trash cameras. It's something that manufacturers start doing just so the phone looks more enticing when you're looking at the back, because apparently people think that having more cameras is always better, which is not the case. Not in cases like this phone, where you have 2 trash cameras. Here, let me ask you this: if you just have things like this, or maybe move that right under here, so it will just look similar to this. Does this phone look less enticing? I think it looks a little bit better now. I don't need 2 useless cameras that I need to pay for if I can have no 2 sensors right here, a cheaper price tag, and a device that looks a little bit cleaner at the back. But I guess that's just my perspective here on the camera setup. I absolutely despise this kind of marketing where manufacturers just add cameras just because they're cheap to make the phone look better and probably sell. And you still pay for those cameras. It's not like you get them for free here. So the phone is still setting up. Oh, there we go. We're almost finished now. Now, one thing that Samsung also screwed up recently is the setup. The setup is absolutely bonkers in terms of how long it takes you to finish up the setup. The biggest time wasted here was just for getting your phone ready, or no, not this one, or checking for updates might have been one of those, but it spends time just doing nothing. Any other device can set up in a matter of minutes. This can take way longer just because it's gonna start looking for something. So anyway, I touched upon the back cameras. Now let's look at the front one, which is just an 8 megapixel sensor. Again, nothing special. This device is absolutely nothing special. To be completely honest, it is a budget phone at about $180. So I guess you get what you pay for. So Moving on to the last part, we are looking at a couple different storages. So part will be with the storages, RAMs and processor. So let's see which one I actually have, because I'm not actually certain. So we have the 64 and 4 gigs of RAM. So this is the one that I would actually recommend going for. The reason for that is because it is going to be still on a budget side, but it's going to give you the, I guess, best performance. The lowest model, which is 32 gigs of storage and 3 gigs of RAM, the 3 gigs of RAM is really low for this time around, like this current age, so I don't recommend going for that. And even though you can expand storage using an SD card, you can't expand RAM. So what you buy when you buy this phone is what you're gonna be stuck with in terms of RAM. Storage can be expanded. That's why the 64 4 gigs of RAM option is the one that I would recommend going for. It will give you mediocre amount of storage. Some people will consider that enough. I personally do use more, so I can slap in an SD card, but it gives me also that 4 gigs of RAM, which I would most certainly consider to be a necessity. You also have a higher model with 128 gigs of storage and 4 gigs of RAM, and you can go even further, so 128 again, but instead of 4 we have now 6 gigs of RAM. Now this will be the most expensive version of this device, so I don't know if it's really worth going for it. Now, truth be told, I don't think it's worth going for this device in any kind of way, just because for the same about price you can get things like the Galaxy S8, I think. Yep, the Galaxy S8, which will also have like 64 gigs of RAM or storage. And how much RAM did it have? I truly don't actually remember how much RAM that device had. Let me quickly check. Oh, also 4 gigs of RAM. So there you go. Now the benefit of going with something like an S8 is the fact that you will have a way better device. It will be faster than this, and additionally it's running a way better camera setup and a way better display. So that is one of the things that I actually recommend going for a phone like that, an old flagship device over something like this, which is a budget device. Now this in particular, this device is not very useful, because in certain cases people might consider phones like this a budget one strictly because they come with 5G. The version I have right here does not have 5G. This is the cheaper version of it. There is also an A13 5G version. So if you're really looking for a phone with 5G connectivity, it might be something that you might want to look into, though I don't think forking out, for instance, like $200 for a phone like that is still gonna be trash, is worth just to get that 5G connectivity. It's not that big of a jump to justify spending more money and also getting a worse device in the process of it. So what I would recommend is simply looking into older flagship devices instead of looking into like budget phones nowadays. So that being said, if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.